I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Well, that was quick. The Georgia Supreme Court, I think in record time, rejected whatever petition it was that Donald Trump filed with the Supreme Court late last week. The Georgia Supreme Court just docketed its order and in one sentence just said, petition dismissed, and the judgment line says, all of the justices of the Georgia Supreme Court concur. The date is July 17th, 2023 of the order, and this is an action styled as an original petition brought by Donald Trump against Fani Willis, the Fulton County District Attorney, and the Fulton County Superior Court Judge, Judge Robert McBurney. You'll recall this original petition that Donald Trump filed, and I said, I think this may be the most frivolous petition filing that he's made, because he's essentially made this thing up. Like, this isn't a real thing to file. And by the way, his lawyer was forced to admit that this type of filing has never been done in the past 40 years of jurisprudence that he was able to access. But here's what Trump filed in the Supreme Court of Georgia. He filed it on July 13th of 2023. Donald Trump versus Fani Willis, the Fulton County District Attorney, and Robert McBurney, the Superior Court Judge he brought the action against as well. And it's styled as an original petition for writs of mandamus and prohibition. And just so you know what this arises out of, I guess, is Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis, of course, first presented evidence before a special purpose grand jury that heard about 75 witnesses, received documents, and had all this other evidence that they received. They prepared a report and recommendation regarding individuals who could be indicted as a result of the investigation. The special purpose grand jury does not have the power to indict. A grand jury has the power to indict, and Georgia, to the extent someone like Fani Willis avails herself of the process, can do a two-step process. First, doing the investigation within the special purpose grand jury, and then presenting it before a grand jury which actually does the underlying indictment. So now the grand jury has been impaneled. As of last week, 26 members of the grand jury, 3 of those are alternates. You need a quorum of 16 to vote on an indictment, and you need 12 grand jurors to vote for the indictment for an indictment to issue and for Donald Trump to be charged. We believe that an indictment will take place somewhere between July 31st of this month and the first few weeks of August. Probably by August 18th, we think Donald Trump will be indicted. So Donald Trump, just completely panicking that he's going to be indicted in Fulton County, he brought this original petition for writs of mandamus and prohibition. And you're always like, Ben, break it down. What is an original petition for writs of mandamus and prohibition in Georgia? It's made up. It isn't a filing. So rather than go through the appellate procedures, right? First, you get an order from the trial court judge, Judge Robert McBurney. Then you appeal to an intermediary court, and then you go to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court doesn't have to take the cases. They could grant certiorari or not, meaning they could hear the case. They don't have to hear the case. But Donald Trump just filed directly in the Georgia Supreme Court saying, Georgia Supreme Court, I don't care about rules. I don't care about procedure. Georgia Supreme Court, I want you to take this case that I made up called Donald Trump versus Fani Willis and Robert McBurney, the judge, and I want you to hear it. And here's what I'm asking you to do, Georgia Supreme Court, even though you don't have the jurisdiction or power to do this. I want you to direct the quashal of the special purpose grand jury's report and bar the report from being used in any future proceeding, civil or criminal. So what Trump's referring to there, the special purpose grand jury that made its recommendations. By the way, it isn't clear who they recommended be indicted at this point at all, because it remains under seal. We surmise that Donald Trump is one of the people they recommended be indicted, but That's not 100% confirmed yet. And by the way, the grand jury doesn't have to even rely on the special purpose grand jury report. If Fani Willis wanted to, she could do the whole process again that she did in front of the special purpose grand jury before the grand jury. What I expect Fani Willis is going to do is do a hybrid, show the report and bring in some additional witnesses as well, but she doesn't have to even show the report in the first place. But Trump wanted the Georgia Supreme Court to quash the report and say, you can't use this report for anything, meaning it just destroy it, delete it, have it go away. That's one of the things he asks. The other things Donald Trump was asking the Georgia Supreme Court to do was forbid the district attorney, Fani Willis, from introducing any evidence obtained via the special purpose grand jury process to the grand jury. So if you introduced it in the special purpose grand jury, Donald Trump was saying, Georgia Supreme Court, order that Fani Willis can't show the same evidence to the actual grand jury. Why not? Under what basis? Again, completely and utterly frivolous. And then Donald Trump seeks to compel the disqualification of District Attorney Fani Willis as a party representative in any proceeding involving Donald Trump. So, Georgia Supreme Court, help me out here. If Fani Willis is investigating me, can you throw her off the case? And again, completely frivolous. By the way, Donald Trump filed a version of this request before the Superior Court judge in Fulton County, Judge Robert McBurney. And Judge Robert McBurney hasn't yet ruled on it, which Donald Trump says that's causing him a great degree of prejudice. But in the motion before Judge Robert McBurney, Donald Trump also asked for the recusal of McBurney. In other words, the judge is biased, the district attorney is biased, the special purpose grand jurors were biased, the grand jurors are biased, everybody's out to get me. That is just the typical pattern of Donald Trump, blaming the judge, blaming the jury, blaming the DA, blaming everybody other than himself for the crimes that he committed. But, in the statement of jurisdiction, when you file with the Supreme Court, you have to state the authority under which the Supreme Court can even hear this thing. And Donald Trump's lawyers had to admit the following. They said, petitioner Trump has identified no case in 40 years where the court has accepted jurisdiction of an original petition. Then again, never has there been a case like this one, and the court has always acknowledged that there will be extremely rare situations in which there is a need for the exercise of this court's original jurisdiction. So acknowledging that in 40 years of jurisprudence that they were able to identify, there's never been any similar case where the courts accepted jurisdiction. But Donald Trump goes, I'm different. I'm different. No, you're not. Okay, you're not. You are just a regular citizen at this point. That's how our system works. No one, including you, is above the law, and the process that you have to challenge, if you think there was anything unfair that went down in the special purpose grand jury, if you think there was misconduct in the grand jury, there's a remedy for that. And the remedy is when an indictment issues, when the indictment is filed, when you are charged with the crimes, you then file a motion to dismiss. And one of your grounds for the motion to dismiss before the criminal judge, you would say, is for prosecutorial misconduct, conflict of interest, judicial misconduct, misconduct by the special purpose grand jury. If you want to say other constitutional rights were violated, you have the same remedy. You're going to lose because none of those things happen. You have the same remedy that every citizen has. But citizens can't just go walking in to the Supreme Court of a state and say, hey, can you help me out here? I'm going to just file this in front of you, a made-up lawsuit that I'm bringing. Please, Supreme Court, do me a solid here. Can you help me out here? Because I think that I'm just so special. Well, you're not. You're not. And the Georgia Supreme Court lets you know how not special you are. And in a one-sentence ruling said, petition dismissed, not even an order, petition dismissed. All of the justices of the Georgia Supreme Court, they wanted to send that message. See you later. You're not even worth our time to issue an actual opinion. Just get out of here. Scram. That's the Georgia Supreme Court ruling right there, folks, and a big loss for Donald Trump. I'm Ben Meiselas. Embarrassing. Fani Willis should seek sanctions. I want her to seek sanctions because this was crazy frivolous. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 1.5 million subscribers thanks to your support. Check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch, wherever you get audio podcasts. Subscribe to the MeidasTouch podcast. Have an excellent day. Hit subscribe.
At MeidasTouch, we are unapologetically pro-democracy, and we demand justice and accountability. That's why we're spreading our message to Convict 45. That's right, gear up right now with your Convict 45 tees and pins at store.MeidasTouch.com. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.